Juliet, are you all set up? If you need anything, let me know. Daddy's going live now. Love you too, hon. Oh, fuck me. All right, welcome to Make a Path Presents. Let me see if I got. Apparently, I already started it. So, damn. I was sitting here for like 15 minutes. Let me check the timer. Oh, it's only a minute and a half. All right, welcome to Make a Path Presents. Excuse me. This is a horrible intro. For some reason, I got two monitors, and this monitor looks bright. I mean, it's like washed out. But then when I slide this to this monitor, it's like normal as far as the lighting. I don't know. This week we have, 4 topics to discuss, mostly around The Walking Dead, and then we'll get into some open discussions if you guys want to discuss anything in particular. But I want to start this off. I want to read off the 4 topics, and then we'll get our conversations going. I don't think there was much. If I missed anything this week in the news revolving around The Walking Dead, let me know in that comment box. But I'm sure you guys heard by now, but Chris Hardwick has been reinstated on the Talking Dead TV show, and the Talking Hardwick, I believe that is still a go as well. And AMC did their internal investigation, and I guess shit died down, and they're bringing him back. Fear the Walking Dead was renewed for a 5th season. We will probably get another renewal for the original show, probably in a few more months. Also, what else? We got a goodbye pic of Rick. I put that in the thumbnail so you guys can check that out. And the biggest piece of information that's been floating around since earlier in the week is it was subtly hinted at that Maggie was going to have an open-ended story in multiple interviews. And then after a bit, Maggie comes right out. The actress Lauren Cohan, in one interview, she came right out and she said, listen, it's open-ended. The cat's out of the bag. So we have most likely confirmation that Rick is going to be killed off, or he's going to die. He's not going to come back. I don't think they're going to leave that open-ended, because if there was any possibility for him to return in, season 13, I feel like they'd say the same thing they are saying with Maggie. At first, I'll be honest, I didn't believe Maggie was open-ended. I think they didn't want to commit to it, and they were saying, oh, we would love to have her back. However, her coming right out and saying it is open-ended, for me, that does it. I believe it now. And I feel like there's only one true way to make that open-ended from the information we have, and that's the one thing that everyone is putting on Rick. Everyone thinks that Rick is going to get injured, or not everyone. A lot of people think Rick is going to get injured, and he's going to leave via the helicopter, and that's going to be like, where did Rick go? I think that's more in line with Maggie, to be honest. Think about this. We have the future of the comic book storyline revolves around a massive community, well beyond the point where we're at now, right? And that big community, we're not even tapping into any of the storyline right now. I mean, we barely scratched the surface of it. Right now, it's as if, like in the comic book, if you think about it, it would be like in the comic, we just got the Negan lineup, and on the TV show, we're just meeting the Saviors. Like, that's insane. There's not enough time. So if you think about the Commonwealth, which is this huge community, there's just no story to adapt from the comic. So I don't believe they're going to be coming now. That and budget and everything else. Now, again, we're going to be getting this most likely. And it's a big community. And I think that's important, because that gives us a big hint, I feel, towards the helicopter. I don't think it could be a big community. I think we already have a lot of communities. It wouldn't make sense to add another one, to be honest. However, if this was a distant community or a community that was going to be shown hints, but we're not going to get a lot there. Wait, the title has spoilers in it? What is the title? Rick dies, but Maggie disappears, ? Oh, yeah, that's not a spoiler. Fuck. What the fuck, people? Yeah, that's just... if you hear in an interview, this is Andrew Lincoln's last season, that tells you he has to die. Unless they're screwing us around. And then in another interview, if you hear Maggie, it has an open-ended storyline, that tells us she has to disappear, right? I mean, I have no problem sounding confident and being wrong, because I don't want to stutter and be like, maybe this is happening. So, yeah, this could be absolutely wrong. You know, that's fine. But I think when you hear those, that's the first logical, assumption you would make. One dies and one has to disappear. If it's open-ended and they want you to return sometime down the road, then you have to disappear or go somewhere else. And I think that is where the helicopter is going to come into play. Now, if we look at the storyline, and this is what's puzzling, the helicopter is the biggest, what the hell? And I think a big part of that is because it's going to be one of those communities where we don't see much of it, and that will, it'll lay a good enough foundation for Maggie's story to leave off open-ended. Let me take some of your questions, though, because that's pretty much the gist of it. Yeah, it is a shame Maggie's leaving. That sucks. Maggie will probably go to the Commonwealth with Georgie. And in season 10, they will reunite, just like Michonne and her daughter in the comics. That could be a possibility, absolutely. I just think it's tricky. I also think it could be possible that Maggie is somehow connected to the Commonwealth or becomes connected to it. I don't feel like she is now or was when we first meet her, because it wouldn't make sense for her to admit that, when she's talking to Maggie, she would be like, listen, we have this huge community, or I know about this massive community that's just starting to get off the ground. I think she would have mentioned that. Commonwealth in season 11. I think we're going to get hints at a Commonwealth early on. Small hints like we did with everything else. Like the W on the walkers for the wolves, the saviors, and during No Way Out and shit like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got hints of the Commonwealth somewhere in season 9. Tiny hints. And then in season 10, we saw the end of the Whisperers and the beginning of the Commonwealth story, start to come to light more. Like, for example, season 10 would be we've made contact with this large community, but not quite in Commonwealth. We don't know the pacing, though, so I'm not real sure on that. Stranger Things says, I think that Rick won't die, in my opinion. I would love it if, his was open-ended. Maybe. It all depends on how they do it, but I don't see any way around that, how they're talking, Somebody put Fear the Walking Dead renewed for season 5, but you didn't put any, you said it was a question, but you didn't. Yes, they are. I don't know if you're asking or telling. Samet said Whisper War in 9B. I highly doubt they will make another filler season and have the war next season. Well, that's the tricky part, right? How are they going to build up to this, and how are they going to keep that Whisper War aspect and have everything jammed in the season 9, I do think it can fit in one season perfectly. Now, especially now that we know what happened with the Whisper War, it wasn't like this whole huge massive thing. So, and especially compared to All Out War was what, 12 issues or something like that in the comic. I think the Whisper War was only 6 issues, and it spilled over into others, but so did All Out War. All Out War, if you looked at it in reality, I think it's like 14 issues or something. I don't know if we'll get the Whisper of War in 9B, though. That just feels a little crammed. Thank you very much for hitting that like button on your way in. Wait, 3 things you love. Excuse me. 3 things you love and 3 things you change about The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. That's like that's a more involved question than a Q&A. First, I'd want to think about it, but just answer a little bit of it. Fear the Walking Dead, I'd probably change the first 3 seasons. Season 1, I'd be, more excited if it focused more on the breakdown instead of skipping time, so I would change that. And one thing that everyone knows, in the original show, I would take out digital blood. It looks terrible still to this day. It just looks awful. Smarty Pants says, I think Rick leaves and Eugene kills him in the season 9 finale. That's fucking weird. Andrew Lincoln said his time with Rick is far from over. Is my hope. Also, laugh out loud. That's another tricky one because, no kidding, Mark Hamill stayed connected to Luke Skywalker his entire life, He even has a connection to Joker, because he voices the Joker. So, yeah, he's always going to be going to conventions off and on. He's always going to be doing this and doing that. He's always going to... That history is going to stay with him for all time, So I think that's all he meant. I think it would be odd to be so adamant about this being your final season and then still leave it open-ended and be like, well, Rick can always come back. I don't know. Something just doesn't make sense there. Is it true that Austin Emilio confirmed he won't come back? Is that true? It sucks. I haven't heard anything about that yet. Yeah, I'm happy they're doing comic storyline too. All right, we got some super chat supports. We got a donation of $1.99 from Vincent Valletta. What if Maggie hangs and then... You put an and here. I don't think that's the end of your question, but what if Maggie hangs Greg and then turns on Rick? And this turns Rick. I think your question got cut off. But if you mean what if it turns Rick and Maggie against each other, again, I just don't feel like they're going that angle where they're going to turn on each other and that's how Rick dies. I just don't see that story-wise. I don't see what that does for the bigger picture, Vincent Valletta, $1.99 super chat, turns her against each other going against Rick's ideals. Yeah, I do think there's going to be conflict there, absolutely. But like I said, I don't think it's going to be conflict to the point where that brings them to, Rick's death or killing them somehow. I do think Rick's death should do something story-wise to launch the communities, further ahead, not add more conflict there. Monster Man Alex with a $10 super chat support. Thank you very much, brother. I like to think Daniel from Fear the Walking Dead will be Beta. He's badass. He's a scarred face, which would fit Beta's Phantom of the Opera problem of showing his face. He's just a little too short. Yeah, he's definitely way too short. He doesn't have that... he doesn't have that intimidating size. I think Beta really needs that. I know Negan needed it, and it was clear even after some certain scenes, he just didn't feel that intimidating. But I feel like Beta, you can't skimp around that, because Negan, you can make up whatever you want. He's a gang, he's a gang, an army, guns, no guns, whatever you want to rationalize. But with Beta, no, he needs to be huge, and he needs to have a presence. Vincent Valletta, $1.99 super chat support. Rick won't die because of it, but makes Maggie leave. All right, so what you're getting at is, Maggie punishes Gregory, and Rick is not cool with this, and that pushes Maggie out. Again, another reason why I have a problem with this scenario with anyone just randomly leaving and without there being something else is because she has a kid there. She's not going to go off on her own. She's not. There's no way. If that's the case, Maggie should have left the moment Negan showed up and threatened everybody. All right, I'm out, you know. The reason they didn't leave when Negan threatened them is because it was actually worse and more dangerous to survive out there, you know. And that is what season 5 was supposed to show us. That was so rough on them, it almost destroyed them. And I do believe that's what Carl getting shot at Alexandria in the face, that's what showed them that this is worth fighting for. Whether Kirkman did this on purpose or he did it on accident, it's damn near perfection story writing. And I'm not sure if he ever talks about this, but if you look at their struggle coming from 600 miles, you know, from where they were to where they got to at Alexandria, and then you look at No Way Out, the zombies coming, Carl gets shot in the face. If they were anywhere else, if they were in the middle of traveling from point A to point B, Carl would have died. If it wasn't for that community, if it wasn't for having a doctor there, having equipment there and stuff there and yada, 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 he definitely would have died. And that's what showed them. And the reason I say it's perfection is because it happened right there. And then the next thing you see after that is Negan shows up and threatens him, because without having that Carl moment, everyone could have been like, okay, this guy showed up, he wants all our shit, let's just leave. You know what I mean? It's the only rational thing. But then you get them saying, you know, there's no way we can make it out. Look how rough it was. And if anything like this happen, wait, hold on. You guys get the point, though. Hold on, let me check the internet thing. I got a red light here. All right, just making sure, because it looks like we're back on now. The internet here has been a little flimsy. It's been a little touch and go. So I wanted to make sure the light was on the box. Someone said Toledo is a brand of a key company. Think there was any specific connection? Oh, I have no idea. It would be I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I think the easiest guess would be Toledo is Kingdom and headquarters is Hilltop, right? Because we have all the communities listed. There's 2 missing and 2 names we don't recognize. So instead of them finding out 2 new communities and we have the helicopter and all that going on, the 2 names or the 2 communities missing have to be the 2 names we don't recognize. That's the way I see it. So I think, yeah, Toledo is a MASH reference. I posted that. I've never seen MASH. Somebody sent me a message on Twitter or something. So I think it's one of those, it's a wink from, you know, the people behind the scenes who put Toledo on there, but it's not a new community. It's just a kingdom. For whatever reason they call it Toledo. I don't know. Oh, shit. I just spilled my drink. Kieran Clow, is that your name? Says, do you think Carol survives season 9? I feel like they might try to throw a shock in there towards the end of the season. To be honest, if we are losing Maggie and Rick, I don't think we need many more shocks, you know. The story itself is good enough. We don't need deaths just thrown in there. We got a $5 super chat support from Eminem 3DG Tyler. Wouldn't it be awesome if Beta just manhandles Negan and Daryl at the same time at some point in season 9? I think that would be awesome. Hell yeah. Again, showing that threat, that just brute physical force. That would be cool. Logan said, I think Rick's going to go away or disappear, not die. Just my opinion. Something don't feel or sound right in what we are hearing. I don't think him dying or going away feels or sounds right, to be honest. I still think, and I watch the interviews, and I love the cast interviews with The Walking Dead. They are absolutely a joy to watch, but I watch and I hear about how he wants to be with his family and yada, 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 and I get that and I understand that, and I think that, sure, that makes sense, but there's still a part of me that thinks something else has to be up. This just doesn't make any sense, We get word that Maggie's having issues with her contract, it's about money, and then next thing you know, Rick is like, yeah, I'm out. At such a weird point, you know what I'm saying? It's just such an odd point. I don't know. Do you think the Whisper of War will be better on TV or in a comic? To be honest, I feel like it will be better on TV. I think the Whispers is a fantastic idea, but not everything comes across great in every medium. For example, in a comic, you can't show them talking because that ruins a lot of the oomph. The oomph is the people going, oh my God, I was out there and they were speaking, the dead were speaking. And you as a reader were like, wait a minute, what? Okay, this guy has to be losing his shit, And then you hear them, and it's even in like squiggly lines and stuff. But on the show, you can hear that, the where are they? And some people even left comments saying, there's no one saying anything. You guys are just hearing it. You want to, whatever. They clearly say it. Like, you can get away with that differently on the show. And there's other things you can do differently on the show. One thing I felt on in the comic was lackluster is I really felt like Kirkman was going into the Whisperer War, and I think something hit him where he was like, I don't think we're ready for another war. And I feel like he strongly pulled back on that. So he had an idea, and then they advertised it as the Whisper of War, and something happened where he pulled back because the war ended up being really meh, I think it started out great, like part 1, but then the end of the Whispers, it just whimpered right out. And I think they'll do better than TV. I think pretty much anything you do on TV will beat how it ended in the comic. It was pretty bad. Prisoner Negan said, Ronnie, do you think they will drag the redemption storyline with Maggie and myself because she will leave the show for a while? Listen, if Maggie's leaving, there's no redemption story between Maggie and Negan until she returns. So there's just no choice. You could call it dragging, but it just can't happen. You know what I mean? So, dragging or not dragging it out, if she's leaving, they just can't do it. I don't know. MDev said, could the bridge they're rebuilding in the trailer be the border for the Whispers instead of the posts? Yeah, sure, it could be, It's got to look badass, though, when they reveal that this is the border, I don't know. I think the bridge has to play an important role as far as location, getting us familiar with it, travel, understanding the purpose between linking the communities together. I don't think I would go with the bridge, though. I just trying to picture it. You need the border. So if you can do the bridge with a row of heads, I think that would be badass. Sure, but you need the row of heads. Dr. Smarty Pants says, my prediction is season 9's first 5 episodes will be original content, but Gregory and Maggie's storyline will be adapted earlier than the comic. Season 9 ends with Heads on Pikes. I'll be honest, I don't think they're going to wait all season to do the heads on pikes. I don't think there's enough story for that. I think we need the heads on pikes a lot sooner than the end of the season. As for Maggie versus Gregory, we already know that's happening fast. In the first 2 episodes, Gregory will attack Maggie. It's in the trailer. The first 4 episodes, definitely. The Maggie and Gregory thing will likely start in, like, episode 2 or episode 1 even. And it'll probably finish. She has to think about it a little bit. It'll probably finish by, like, episode 3 or 4. Who do you think is the next big nemesis coming? I assume you mean the comic. And I don't know. I have no idea. Samat said, I don't want a feminist The Walking Dead season. I don't think you're going to get one. Lactose Aaron said, you think Carl took Andrea's death? No. And this is a tricky one. I mean, you could say that because the similarities there, but Maggie had in a zombie story, such a generic death. She gets bit and dies, She gets bit, lays in bed and talks to someone and dies. The only reason we don't see more of that is because it's just too boring. You know what I mean? But you see it every now and then. And I think the reason it works more for Andrea is because they had everything set so well. There was no reason for her to get bit. It was just like a shit kicked off and, she ended up getting bit. Ronnie, you should check out Animal Kingdom. It's a great show on TNT, and I feel like you would like it. I never heard of that. I'll have to look it up. Do you think Heath will return this season? Scott Gimple mentioned him coming back. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I do know someone asked Robert Kirkman about the PPP on the that card that Tara found. And I don't think he knew at all what it meant. You could tell by his expression. He was like, I have no idea what... And I think he even said that wasn't my contribution, It's tricky because there's going to be a time jump. So whatever happens, it has to make sense within that time jump. But I have no idea when he's going to come back. If it's this season, that's cool. Samet says, which heads do you think we'll see on the Pikes? I think obviously we need somebody we know. We do need it to impact us. And if they're not going to do Ezekiel as the big impact, because they said they want to do something a little bit different. Some newer people, like the Savior, for example, the Savior that is helping out at the Hilltop and stuff. People like that. Newer people that we still know. As far as... people that's been around for a while. I think Tara would be a good pick. Who else would be good for that? Tara, Rosita, put her up there. Wait, we got to find out a super chat from Monster Man Alex. I want a Whisperer wearing a Heath suit. You might get that. I don't know. Rob Gagnon says, is it just me or does it feel like the show is starting to catch up with the comics? Oh, it's really starting to feel like that. I definitely feel like it's starting to catch up. In the trailer, it shows Magna sneaking around Alexandria. Could this be the scene from the comic where she goes around and finds Negan? Yeah, I think it most likely will be. See, the thing, too, is... when I used to look at the trailers to pick them apart to do prediction videos, understanding like TV writing is important when you're doing those prediction videos because, well, at the time I used to do a lot of prediction videos, but I wanted them to be good. I wanted them to be, they don't have to be perfect and accurate 100%, but I wanted to be around the ballpark. So for example, if you know TV writing with, it's actually similar to comic book storytelling where you have each episode needs those little zingers, you know? In a comic book, I don't know if there's an official name for it, but it's the page turn reveal, where how a comic book is laid out. When you turn the page, on that opposite side is going to be the reveal. Every single cliffhanger in the comic book, the very last page is going to be a page turn reveal because you got to flip it over to the other side. It's very similar to storytelling in a TV show where you need to build up that suspense that's essentially an empty threat. And you get this all the time in TV where you get this character, Magna, we don't know her, we don't trust her, is she good, is she bad, yada yada yada. You bring her in and you have her starting to act in a way where you start thinking that she shouldn't be trusted. So she's sneaking around the community. She doesn't trust Rick and gang. Well, we already know Rick and gang. So now we're thinking, oh, wait a minute, there's something here. So we're intrigued as we're watching it. And I think they're just going to, even though the comic is out there and comic fans know it's just going to be her searching around, I think they're going to expand that part a little bit more. You know what I mean? Maybe make her seem a little more, have a little more potential to be a bad guy. I think they'll play that out a little longer than in the comic. I think the comic was like, what, 1 issue, 2 issues, where we weren't sure. There was a cliffhanger where she's like, I don't trust these people. And then there's another cliffhanger where she's sneaking around. And that's where she finds Negan and stuff. But then it ends, you know. We need Here's Not Here episode for Negan with his backstory, like how Morgan got his. I don't know if I want a Negan backstory to play out on TV, to be honest. Is the bridge in the trailer the same one Heath went missing from? I don't believe so. Dr. Smarty Pants. Every issue of The Walking Dead I read makes me want those scenes adapted in a future The Walking Dead season, like this week's upcoming issue 182. Oh shit, we have another issue coming out soon, don't we? I feel like I just went and picked up the last issue. Last month's. If Maggie is leaving for a while, we need to keep Rosita and her hotness. I love that woman. They will pick someone newer. I think gonna need some of the older characters. Yeah, I think there should be a decent mix with some of the newer ones that we've been getting. Some of the older ones, they do need to thin the herd a little bit because it is getting a bit crowded with all the communities, to be honest. What was the closest the show came to catching up with the comics? I don't think I understand your question. Present day. I mean, it's always going to be, it's always going to be present day. I mean, I don't think your question, maybe it's the way I'm reading it. Your question just doesn't make any sense. Present day is as close as they've ever come to catching up to the comics, you know. That'll remain true no matter how much time passes. I really hope that they just kill Rick off. I would rather a closed book for his story than an open ending for Rick. Love the channel, and who do you think stabs Rick? That's something I was talking about like a week or two ago. Like, I just want that complete story. You know what I'm saying? As far as who stabs Rick, it really does look like he gets stabbed from the trailer, you know? And again, it could be anything, but it really does look like that. He could be shot. He could look the same, you know? He's holding his side. But we do see blood dripping, so he's either shot or stabbed. And I think dealing with a herd of zombies, and again, not for like his death, but just think about how neat it would be. If you ever heard of zombies and everyone's doing their thing and Rick, I don't know, something. There's just a herd and he takes like a cane or tree branch or something to push like 3 or 4 of them over, and he's killing this one. Maybe he's roping an area off, and he just gets hit, and you hear him grunt, and he steps back, drops the chain, and the zombies that he was blocking off, they start coming forward. Everyone runs to get him. And here, as he was doing, here he looks down, he's all bloody. And again, I'm not trying to predict his death. I don't think this would be that cool for his death, but I do think it would be neat if he was doing something with zombies, and then we don't see it, but we know something hit him, and he was like, and we found out that he got stabbed, and even he is like, wait a minute, what? I was just dealing with zombies, and somehow something stabbed me, because for those who don't know, the Whisperers would have been the one to stab him. They were camouflage, hiding in the zombies. Spaceman said, Rick's head on a pike. We see him separated from the group. He gets killed. We're introduced to Alpha, and bam. I don't think, for his character, I don't think that works. Me personally, I just don't feel like that's a death for that character. Michael the Collector said, is A-Rat dead? I haven't watched in a while, just wondering. No, she's in the trailer. Christina, hey, Ronnie, Q&A, what do you think will let Negan out of jail? Will it be Chadis or Ant? Who do I think will let Negan out of jail? That's a good question, to be honest, because in the comic it was just some newbie character, but it was someone who was connected to Carl's story. So yeah, they need to remix that for the show. So I don't think it would be Jadis. I don't think that fits. I will say I don't know, but I don't think it would be Jadis. Maybe somebody, one of the saviors, sneaks in and ends up getting him released. Hey, there you go. We do know a little bit from the comic, and I'm not going to go into that. If you read the comic, you know the beef between the saviors and our good guys. But imagine if it was one of the saviors that sneaks in and to release Negan, to bring him back. And Negan shows how he's reformed by killing that savior. Because, again, the same thing happened in the comic. The person who let him out, Negan, ended up turning on him in a different way. Does it mean anything how Season 8 trailer already has more dislikes than the Season 5, 6, 7 trailer? Yeah, I think it means the Season 8 trailer sucked. I mean, I think that's universally known, right, in the Walking Dead community. The Season 8 trailer was just ass. And again, when I say that, I'm not trying to be mean to the crew. It's been a while since I looked into this, but the people who work on the show don't even do the trailers, right? I'm almost positive it's a outside community, or not community, it's an outside company. And I think they have an idea. And like I said, it's been a while since I read up on that whole process, but I think they, certain situations might be different, where they have somebody who is responsible to do the trailer, who is not the one filming it, directing it, writing it. So if it's the case, that's probably a large part of why it sucks. But the Season 8 trailer was horrible. Oh, Charm said you meant Season 9 trailer? Oh, I have no clue in that case. I'll go and look that up, because I'll be honest, I don't believe that. You're probably telling the truth, but right off the bat, I don't believe that. Season 8 trailer was awful compared to Season 9. I just don't buy that. Yeah, so I don't know how to answer that. I don't know. People didn't like it, I guess. Daddy Corleone said, getting stabbed and bleeding out also does not work for a character like Rick. And I absolutely agree to that. Lewis Angel said, wrong, Ronnie, they both disappear. And I stand by what I said. I think if they both disappear, they would say that for both of them. Rick would say, listen, I'm not going to be filming for a while. There's still potential for his story, but I'm going to be exiting the story for a bit, Same thing they're doing with Maggie, saying it's open-ended. I don't think they would say, like, this is it. This is Rick's end game. Ronnie, if you could make it up, what would you do for his death? I don't know. It's not that I don't know. I don't have any good ideas right now for how to kill Rick off. And again, it's problematic because you need to either have one of two deaths, or if you have enough time and you have it planned, properly, you can combine them. But you need either make it a legendary death for that character, you know what I'm saying? Or connect it to the current storyline. And that's where it gets tricky. Because if you don't want it to feel out of place just to have this legendary death out of place, you do want to connect it to the storyline, but is the Whisperer storyline good enough to connect, I haven't, to be honest, I don't have any other good ideas except for what I mentioned before already, and I'm not going to explain it now. You're going to have to watch the other video if you want it, but the idea of Alpha killing Rick, I think that's the only good idea I heard so far, or the only good idea I had so far. Dr. Smarty Pants says Negan should get out in season 10, not 9. I disagree. Season 9, a season is a long time. They cram a lot in seasons, in TV shows. Negan should get out in season 9, but not for the first half. I agree with that. Someone said Athena Akers was casted. I didn't hear about that casting yet. And you asked if she'd play Lydia. I don't know. I'll have to look at if she's young and she was just casted, then yeah, she's playing Lydia. I don't think they have any other people coming on for that. Monster Man Alex with a $10 super chat. Thank you very much for the support, boss. I think Magna will release Negan. She'll be searching for something wrong with the community. She'll find Negan and he'll be like, these people are nuts, free me. They could. That would be taking the comic book storyline and just doing the opposite, which is absolutely possible, but we have to see. You would have to look at a story like this. What does that do? It puts Magna in a bad situation, and then it allows Negan to get free. But what is he going to do with the freedom? You see, the way they played it in the comic was Negan had a choice to escape, and he just didn't do it. And then he had a choice when there was also the opportunity to show Rick and gang that they don't have to worry about him. They don't have to hunt him down and kill him. If he's out of his cell, he can be trusted to some degree. So he took that opportunity. The person let him out. He killed them. He went and he attacked the Whisperers first, which ended up kicking off the war. But he ended up showing Rick and gang that he was at least willing to fight for them. So you'd have to do the same thing. And I don't think Magna just letting him out does anything story-wise except for he just gets out, Unless you want to remix it differently, then yeah, sure. Anything goes at that point. We got some questions here. Do you agree with people that the Walking Dead universe should end with Rick's end? I think that's stupid in my opinion. No, I disagree with that extremely. The whole Walking Dead universe. No, that's insane. That's like saying we can't have any stories in Star Wars that don't revolve around the Skywalkers. I think the stories are usually the best, with the Skywalkers, but no, it's a huge universe. There's a lot of stories to tell, a lot of people, a lot of different characters. So I think the original series, it's close to its end with Rick's departure. Yeah, Tony said Rick trips and lands on a thorn bush and dies. Confirmed. Any recommendation for a really good or not well-known movie or TV show? Yeah, The Shield. It's an older one. I think it was on in like the late 90s or something like that. And there's like 7 seasons. I don't know. But it's probably one of the best TV shows ever made. Again, I said one of the best. Especially for when the time it was made. But it's... if there's a top 10 list, The Shield is on it. It's that awesome. Yeah, Lauren Cohan's in a new movie with Mark Wahlberg called Mile 22. Yeah, it looks good. It kind of looks like that generic popcorn flick, action movie with an entertaining guy. Predictions for The Last of Us Part 2. Well, we got a video coming that's going to go over the prediction aspect, but I still feel the same as when I did in the last video. They clearly want it, or they're clearly showing us, or maybe misleading us, that it has to do with Ellie being in love and that organization, showing up, bad shit happening. So I would imagine her community is attacked and the person Ellie loves is killed off, and then she's sent off on this revenge mission. I think that's pretty much it without going into all the details. Matt Perry said, yeah, Ronnie, Season 9 has the most dislikes from any other Walking Dead trailer. I just checked. That's mainly from Rick leaving. That could be. I believe that. I definitely believe that. Uh-oh, I moved the thing. All right. Nothing we have seen so far gives a hint of an epic Rick death, which suggests he's going out in an open-ended scenario. Well, I would disagree with that. Only one way. It just simply means they didn't give him like this epic, Scarface death. It definitely could look epic without... For example, anyone seen Sons of Anarchy? There's no way... There's absolutely no way to make it look like Opie had an epic death in the trailer. There's just no way. And you could even say he didn't, but even Jax in Sons of Anarchy, there's no way you can say, man, it looked like there was going to be an epic death. You know what I'm saying? And his end was beautifully told in the whole story. Same thing with Walter White. Now that you think about it, yeah, it's hard to So I will disagree on 2 fronts. One, he could just not get an epic death, right? And 2, maybe it is epic, and we just don't know because we didn't see the whole shebang. So, but again, I will say his death could be open-ended. That's absolutely possible. Reddy will be. In the trailer, there's a scene with Gabriel looking nervous in the background. There's the drawing of an old lady in Season 5 at the food bank, and it says Anne. I think Jadis drew it, or is that lady name? Yo, Jadis' name is Anne, ain't it? I seen that, too. But in the comic, there was a girl named Anne in The New Beginning. So when I first watched the trailer, I forgot Jadis' name was Anne. And I assumed it was that Anne from whatever, and we'll see it. You know what I mean? So I'm sticking with that. I think there's just another character named Anne. That might be because that picture didn't look anything like Jadis. And maybe she did draw it. You're right, and she signed her name to it. But I thought that was a picture of Anne, and the person who drew it wrote Anne's name on top of the picture of Anne. Davakin Graham said, Ronnie, if they make a mess of Rick's death and it disappoints more than it adds to the story, will you remain watching The Walking Dead? Yeah, afterwards to see how the story happens. even if I don't like his death, I still need to see, how it plays out and what direction they're going to go with the story. Spaceman liked my original idea for Alpha. Yeah, it's overlooking a huge herd, and he gets stabbed, and then we swing around to see she was actually talking to Michonne. Yeah, see that? I still like that idea, and feel free to put any ideas down below, but for those who weren't here, the idea was that Alpha's given a threat, we see this huge herd, and again, it's tricky to explain it, but at the same time, I'm picturing how it would be filmed in my head, and, you would focus on a Rick who looks terrified, and maybe his lips quivering. In reality, you find out that expression is a combination of fear, and he just got gutted, so he's actually in the middle of dying, so we have this afraid face that is revealed to be his death face. And then we reveal that the threat is being given to Michonne while Alpha's doing some mobster shit where she's whacking Rick right in front of her, killing him, and showing Michonne they mean business. And then it's not over. Once Michonne leaves with the group, hauling Rick's dead body back to the group, or maybe he's partially alive. He could be partially alive. I think that would be better. But he's bleeding out and he will die. There's no way around it. That's when they get to the borderline. So one of the last things Rick sees is the border of heads, his paradise, everything he fought for. That is a sad, tragic-ass ending, though. Maybe I won't do that. But maybe, Michonne promises him that they'll make this right and rebuild and maintain what they've got, and that drives Michonne further. You would need something like that, because Michonne's character is set up where if she loses Rick, that's a blow. That's a devastating blow to her life and her motivation as a character. But if she promises this thing to Rick that, they're going to make this work and she's going to help the community through his passing and to battle the Whispers, that would give the Michonne character long enough time to mourn Rick but still stay in the action, Mohan Singhal with a $5 super chat support said, Ronnie, how would you feel if it was Heath and a new character discovering the Whispers, not Eugene and Rosita? I wouldn't care. I honestly don't care who discovers the Whispers, I think it's just neat that they did change it and give us characters that we were already familiar with. But I personally don't care. As long as this scene came out cool, it could be anybody. Rick O.G. Grimes says, who would you rather have seen more of and continue on in The Walking Dead, Tyrese or Abraham? I reckon they killed Ty way too early. That is a tricky one. I'd probably go with Abraham. I like both of the actors a lot, so it's not an actor thing. It is a character thing. I think they took the Ty character and they let a lot of the actor's charisma, the big teddy bear, I think they let that sink into the character, and he morphed into something that shouldn't have been what Ty's character was, because he did morph into the whole bit not killing the guy, and it come on. So I think they tainted that character a little bit from what he really should have been. And his character was a little too much like his character in The Wire, to be honest. Way too much. It was just so similar. So I'd have to pick Abraham. But like I said, I like both actors. That's based on the character. I'd like to see more of Abe. Yeah, there's some silly predictions for how Rick should die. What letter grade would you give the last 3 seasons? A letter grade? Like A, B, C, D, or F? Well, season 8 would be like, what, a B? Season 7 would probably be like a C? Season 6 would probably be a B for season 6 too. We have A moments all throughout the seasons, even when I don't think the whole season's an A season. So it is a bit of a mixed thing. But no, I don't think we have had home run full seasons, for a while. Dr. Smarty Pants. Ronnie, Negan gets out in issue 149. Season 9 starts at issue 127. Yep. Thanks for the info. Well, two things here. I'm not sure why you're bringing that up. Maybe it connects to something we talked about previously. But it doesn't matter what issues they get out because they mix things up on the TV show. You know what I'm saying? For example, in season 6, here's a perfect example. The people in Alexandria overthrowing Rick, where Carter picks the gun? Well, that happened after No Way Out. You know what I mean? In issue whatever. In the show, it happens before. So the issue number really doesn't mean anything because the way they remix it. Someone said she will play Lydia with a wink face. I gotta look up her name because I must have missed that casting. I've been looking at Walking Dead news stuff all week. That never popped up for some reason. Charmander said, if you had to make a prediction, gun to your head, what caused the zombie apocalypse in The Walking Dead? I'm not going to talk about that. Listen, true story, though, I will tell you, I'm not going to predict in The Walking Dead. I have no clue. And I don't even think Robert Kirkman knows. I think there's no reason to cover it, so there's no reason for him to figure it out or come up with an idea. But I'll give you a short story I wrote in junior high, which the short story was about zombie apocalypse, but it was an Indiana Jones type story. They found what started the zombie apocalypse, but in my story it was the guy was looking for a fountain of youth, and when he found it, it was dried up, and there was these wolves. It was a weird story, but what essentially happened by the end of the story is in the fountain of youth there were these weeds. And on the weeds were these bacteria. And this is the only place in the world it grew. And that bacteria is what, and that's why it was nicknamed Fountain of Youth, which got messed up down the line in translations. But the bacteria in that grew only in this one little pond thing in this cave is what created the zombie outbreak, what caused it, because hence Fountain of Youth. You live forever. But the downside to it is you turn into a zombie. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to use that as my guess. But as a story I wrote so long ago, and it wasn't for anything serious. It was a combination of an Indiana Jones / Tomb Raider, my little concoction with a hint of, it was the origin story to a Resident Evil story I was doing. It was stupid, but I had fun writing it. Jordan said, if Rick dies, I want him going out saving everyone and sacrificing himself or something. It's most likely going to be something like that. Do you think Daryl will have more speaking lines than grunting sounds this episode? Maybe a mix, half and half, He'll be like, hey, Carol, huh? Ronnie, do you think Morgan's character is better for Fear than The Walking Dead because, both shows have a different type of realism? Is he better for Fear? Nah. I think it's... I don't see it as... I think that's the problem. I don't see it as different types of realism. I get there's more cartoony, but it's still pretty much the same. We had a zombie in Fear the Walking Dead ripped somebody through like a little hole in the wall. Remember that? I remember it because I loved it. So many people were like, this is ridiculous and stupid, because it breaks that realism. You guys remember that, right? It was like a little hole in the wall, and the guy like folded up and got ripped through it. Like there was some, twisted superhero that pulled him through the wall. But I see them as the same. Little differences, sure. In the main show, we have more comic booky characters, but as far as the realism, it's pretty much the same. Haley Douglas said, would you recommend watching Fear? Is the show any better with Morgan? I would recommend, if you've seen the other seasons, I would highly recommend the new season. I think the new season has some flaws, sure, but I think the new season is definitely better than what we were getting. Mohan Singhal with the Super Chat support donation for $5. Thank you very much for that support. He said, since you are wondering if you were right, the Han in my name is pronounced like Han in Han Solo. Well, is it Han Solo or Han Solo? Because I know in the show, different characters pronounce it differently. There's a whole YouTube video where they take all the characters pronouncing Han and Han, and they count them up. And my last name is pronounced Single. Okay, so it would be Mohan Single or Mohan Single. All right, that's easy enough. Thank you for that clarification. Mohan Single or Mohan. I'm going with Mohan, but I'm going to pronounce it like Singal because I don't know. That's how it looks. I'm messing with you. Brad Green with a $6 super chat support. Thank you very much for that support, brother. Ronnie, are you excited to see how the Whispers are presented? Absolutely. I hope to get some cinematic / creepy camera shots from within the herds. Lots of potential. I am right there with you, brother. I cannot wait. I think it has a lot of potential. What I can't wait is for that introduction. Imagine that introduction. That introduction in the comic was like, oh man, I can't wait for how they're going to pull that off in the show, Eminem 3DG Tyler with a $5 super chat support. Thank you very much, brother. Do you think that Aaron could be ahead on a pike, or might they go super dark and have Judith's? Nah, that's too much. That's just too much. I realize that is unlikely. Laugh out loud. Yeah, that is way too much. That's beyond being super dark, and it's kind of like borderline. They're just trying way too hard, I think. Who did you say? Aaron. Yeah. He would be good, but I think there's more for his character. But if they end up using him, he'd be a good pick, Charm said, old news I know, but did you think Carl was going to lose his hand? No, not at all. Mostly because we've heard every year how expensive that is to film. So I didn't think they were going to do it with Carl either. Somebody asked, so why is his relationship with Rick Grimes not over? I think they're asking that because I said, Rick dies and Maggie disappears in the title, but he's always going to be Rick Grimes, so he's not like done with it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's such a weird thing for him to say. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe there's something else in the mix, a little surprise that's hidden, but it doesn't make sense to say, okay, I'm no longer playing Rick Grimes, but my relationship with Mr. Grimes is far from over. Like, doesn't make any sense, bro, So part of me is just taking the easy way out, and I'm just assuming he means he'll be there for the fans, he'll be there at conventions, not all the time, but once in a while. He's still in the fan base, he's still active, talking to people filming on set, he still reads scripts. He's never going to forget the role. I took it as that, Like Mark Hamill got done with Star Wars, but he will always be remembered as Luke Skywalker. His relationship with Luke is far from over. Unfortunately, Disney didn't listen and they made more movies. My choice of weapon in the zombie apocalypse, if we're going realistic, I'm going with an ice pick. If we're going flat out cool, I'm using a bone tomahawk. It's one of the coolest weapons ever. It's made from an actual jawbone. I mean, come on. How cool is that? You get like a jawbone from an animal. I think like a buffalo or something. Yo, cough again. Crack you. What are you drinking in that tiny cup? I don't know. I think this is like a rock. What is this? No. Maybe it's like clay. You know how they get clay and they harden it? Well, what you do is you freeze these and they get like frozen, and you could put like alcohol in it and shit. Keeps your alcohol cold. Same thing that's in my drink. They're like ice cubes, but they're made out of, I guess it would be clay or rocks. You freeze them so that it doesn't dilute water into. I hate ice. Can't have ice in my drinks at all, whether it has alcohol or just soda. The worst is when you go to a restaurant and they bring out your soda 10 or 20 minutes before your food. By the time you get your food, there's like this layer of water on top where the ice all melted. I hate that shit. Yeah, Morgan's going to be staying on Fear, at least for right now. Enid's head on a pike? I don't think so. If they're losing Maggie, they need somebody. They need people at the hilltop that we, have a connection with. Hayes, more Star Wars, please. What Star Wars? I'm done with Star Wars. I may have like a video or two in me down the line, months from now, discussing what I love about the originals or something. I'm not sure, but I'm like the Star Wars franchise. To me, it's dead. In my eyes, it's dead. They absolutely. The Last Jedi was just. I don't even have words for how awful that was. Yeah, season 9 can definitely reinvigorate the franchise. Absolutely. But we'll see. Do you think another character from The Walking Dead will go to Fear the Walking Dead? I don't think there's a reason, They had a reason with Morgan. Imagine if they upped and all of a sudden magically someone else went. That would be getting ridiculous. I think they should pull the worlds closer and possibly down the line start doing cameos. You have Morgan already going to Fear the Walking Dead. Take the Fear the Walking Dead, have them travel closer to where our community is, and then that way we can have a Daryl Dixon cameo in one episode when they're trading or anything. Start mixing this, like Sons of Anarchy. You have the Mayans, and then you got the Sons of Anarchy, you got the Grim Bastards or whatever the other biker gang. It's in a totally different location, another town, but it doesn't matter. It's a whole new gang, whole new biker gang. Yet they're not in every episode. They're not even vital to the storylines. They're mentioned often. They're wrapped up in the world of these characters. But the one guy, I think his name is like Alvarez. He's the leader of the Mayans. He may have had 10 cameos in 4 seasons. You can do that. Now they're having a Mayans TV show. You can do that. You have the Sun's story. That's done. That's out there. And then you got the Mayans story. Same thing with The Walking Dead. You got Fear the Walking Dead. You got the original The Walking Dead. If they're, one town over from each other, you don't have to blend the two shows because you'll lose money doing that. You have them cameo. trade. They can be another community that is a little further out where every now and then they reach out to. How do you feel about the theory where Maggie is calling in the helicopter to evac Rick? Can I be honest? I hate that theory. I think it doesn't make sense. You got Rick dying, and Maggie has an open-ended storyline. I don't think it makes any sense for Rick to be evacuated anywhere. I think if Maggie has the open-ended storyline, it has to be her that's evacuated. Plus, it's not Maggie calling the helicopter. It's Anne. It's Jadis, What do you think is the best way to introduce such a group as the Whisperers? Well, I think the comic did it almost perfect. Territorial dispute. You hint at them first. Do some creepy shit. Do more creepy shit. And then you have the ultimate showdown where you got zombies and you just see a knife in the herd somehow. And again, this is tricky because there's a way to film it that you'd have to sit down and choreograph, but you can make it look intense, creepy. New viewers, people who haven't read the comics, they're not active online, they'd be all weirded out. It would be nuts. And then you do the reveal, Keep it like the comic, but flesh it out more. I think that would be perfect. What are the biggest differences from your comics and the Walking Dead comics besides snow? Wait, what? What are the biggest differences from your comics to the Walking Dead comics besides snow? I don't know how to answer that. Do you mean like the worlds? I mean, the zombies are totally different. For anyone who doesn't know, I have a comic out named Doomsday Kingdom. We're releasing issue 3, or we're on issue 3. And if you already read issue 2, you know that there's stages of the infection. And the first stage, from what it seems, at the end of the issue, you find out they can't talk still when you're in stage 1. And more will be explained, but that's my little nod to the Predator. Anyone who's seen the Predators, you'll get that. But there's a lot of differences. There's a lot I can't talk about because I think it's one of it. It just invigorates the whole damn zombie genre, changing one little thing, and it has to do with bites. I'll admit that part, because bites, it's all different for all of them. You know what I mean? So there's 2 things about bites that are different in this, and it's drastically different than The Walking Dead in that aspect. Same thing about the zombies. There's what I call the monsters. There's different stages of zombies. After the stage after the actual zombie, the classic zombie we know, there's what I call the monster stage that hasn't been revealed yet. So trust me, when you get into the story, it is very different. So I'll stick with that. Again, you have people surviving in a zombie apocalypse, but the Doomsday Kingdom zombies in my comic are so different from the Walking Dead zombies. It's as different as like the Last of Us zombies from The Walking Dead. They're just totally different. But we still have the stage with the classic zombies, so that you still get that, that classic zombie feel. So maybe that's similar to that degree. Let me look here for the super chat. I think I missed one. Yeah, Brad Green with a... I missed it. Oh, there we go. When will we see Negan's confrontation with Beta? Damn, you know what? I don't know. It all depends on the pacing. So we're either going to see it in second half of season 9 or early season 10. That's a tricky one. I feel like I need to watch at least the first episode or two to see what they're going to do pacing wise for the season. So I'm going to stick with that. 9B or 10A? We also got a question from Super Chat from Eminem. Thank you very much for the $10 support. Didn't someone ask Andrew what he meant by his relationship with Rick being far from over? And he replied, just watch this season. You know what? I'm going to say maybe. I definitely remember him saying, just watch this season. I don't know if it was that question, though. But yeah, he definitely said that to something where it was like about Rick. So yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to watch. Mega Dr. Dre with a $5 support. Do you think Rick will meet Alpha or Magna? Also, supposedly there will be another time skip 5 to 6 years later. I don't think that makes any sense. Another time skip. When the hell would that happen? Would that even make sense? I don't know. If there was another time skip, I can't imagine it being 6 years. I can't, because we're already skipping 2 years. Whatchamacallit? Andrew Lincoln in the one interview where you had Andrew and Maggie and actually I think Daryl and Michonne, they were all there. They confirmed it was a 2-year time skip from the end of All Out War to the beginning of the season. So that's because keep in mind Maggie was just showing, and now her, she's got like a 1-year-old baby or like 1.5, some shit like that. Yeah, because she was barely even showing. She still had 6-7 months, I guess, to go. So I can't think of anything that would need. I don't. Why would we need another time skip? The only thing I can possibly think of is if they need to have Rick killed off and do a time skip to show where they are now afterwards, to show all of them healed up and yada, yada, yada. Instead of having his death linger and cripple the cast, because we know they got to get right into it with the Whisperers, you know what I'm saying? And they're not going to introduce the Whisperers and then do a second time skip and have the Whisperers out there. So it needs to go Maggie versus Gregory, building the roads, Rick dies, and then a time skip, and then the Whisperers. There's no way they can do the time skip. I don't know. That's just weird. But I'm going to admit, if you're saying that, you likely got it from a spoiler site. Or not you, but it likely came from spoilers. So there's probably a chance that's true. I know nothing about it, though. Philip Cumby said, thanks to all the mods for coming out to every live stream to make sure everything runs smoothly. Thanks, Ronnie, for another great live stream tonight. I appreciate that. You're lying. But I appreciate that. My energy level, I've been sick this week. That's why you guys haven't had a video. I don't think I did a video all week, to be honest. Yeah, man, I've been under the weather like crazy. Had a lot of extra work to get done. And even my energy level tonight, I'm just exhausted. But I do appreciate that. And, I'm glad you think it was a great live stream. I feel bad, though. I feel like my low energy levels, I'm kind of boring the shit out of you guys, I'll be honest. But we are going to shut it down now. So let's, not right this second, but let's, me, we'll shut it down in an hour. No, I'm just kidding. We are going to shut it down in another couple minutes. We get your last questions in. And like I said, I do apologize about the energy levels. I'm bouncing right back. I'll be at 100% next Sunday. Easy Gaming said, can you see Henry having a relationship with Lydia? Well, Lydia's spelled with a Y. But no, I can't. I don't think it fits. I think it would be a better bet to have Enid and Lydia have a best buds relationship, because absolutely makes more sense, where you can have one girl bonding with another girl about the proper way to be raised. And for those who read the comic, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think that is too perfect to skip. Cast somebody who's close to Enid's age, maybe like even a year younger. I think that would be even better. She could be like an older sister, Enid, giving her, advice and stuff like that. We don't need a romantic relationship with Carl and Lydia. We can change it to a best friend relationship that works. I mean, best friend relationships are awesome, and they work really well. Sometimes I think Hollywood thinks about, either it's ship or shit. Either ship them or the idea is shit. And I think that's a terrible way to tell stories, because there's so many different gauges of relationships out there. It doesn't always come to romantic ones, but in Hollywood, that's pretty much all we see. Ready will be with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for the donation. Ronnie, the drawing by Gabriel is the lady from season 5 at the food bank. When Bob got bit, Rick asked Gabe, did he know her before? Think Jadis drew it. Are you like, is that like a definite wild guess, or are you being honest with, like, that's definitely what it was? Because I'll admit, that looks nothing like the girl at the food bank. I could be wrong, though, but that's one of my all-time favorite zombies. And it could be it. It could be it. I might be mixing it up, but I didn't know Gabriel was the one drawing, though. I thought he found the drawing. I didn't know he was drawing it. Hey, that could be it. I don't know. Oops, I slapped the microphone. Alter 2-Bit said, which character from the comic book do you think has been sort of a disappointment thus far? In my opinion, I think Jesus has been super underwhelming. I'm going to second that. Jesus in the comic book he was badass. There was so much I loved. Like right when they ran into Jesus, he brought them to the hilltop, ran into him. But right when he brought them to the hilltop, that dude, after Rick killed the guy and Rick is like, what? They had a bonfire because they don't bury the dead. They burn them. They did all that in the show, but it was nighttime. They had a bonfire. Some guy punches Rick, and man, go and read that. That moment was a badass moment. Jesus comes out. He's like, I forget what it was, but he puts everyone in their place. We should have had some Jesus moments like that. I feel like Jesus, the character, is very different from his comic counterpart, and it's different in a less interesting way, Mega Dr. Dre with a $5 donation said, if you watch the trailer with Father Gabriel, one scene he's clean shaven, and another scene he has gray goatee when he is talking to Magna. I gotta look out for this. I've had a couple people mention Father Gabriel with whatchamacallit, and for the life of me, I can't picture him except for with his goatee. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's such like a prominent image because it's like, up close, yada, yada, yada. I'll have to go back and look. That's one thing I definitely missed. I just didn't pick up on it. But I'll go back and look. I will admit, for me, a goatee doesn't prove a 5-year time skip at all. It doesn't take that long to grow facial hair. But I do get it. If it shows time has changed and, he has grown it out, he's rocking it now. I just don't know where the whole 5-year came from, just off a goatee. 5 or 6 year. Spin 2020 with a $5 super chat. Jadis is the artist, remember? That's That's right. She was gluing all that shit together. The only reason I didn't picture her as an artist is because didn't we see some like really weird art? And I just assumed she was, that kind of weirdo art. The junkyard art. She is now Anne. She drew the picture. Jadis was never in Georgia. It's not the food bank girl. I'm going to look at it again. That's probably what it is. For some reason, I wasn't picturing Jadis as like a good drawer. I was just picturing her doing some weird like paint on the canvas of a cat or some shit like that. Philip Cumby. Thanks to all the mods for coming out. Damn it, I already read that one. All right, let's get the last questions in. Do you think we will see Daniel Salazar on tape from Althea, or do you think he will show back up in physical form, even maybe crossing over? I want to believe if we see him on tape, that means he's coming back this season. I don't think they would film the tape and show us the tape if he doesn't come back. You know what I'm saying? So if they want to bring him back in season 5, I feel like we won't see the tape with him on it until season 5. Do you think we'll see... I already read that, damn it. Hold on, I'm scrolling up. Christina said something was confirmed by AMC. I'm trying to look to see what she was talking about. What are you guys? What's confirmed? Oh, a second time jump was already confirmed for 9A. AMC confirmed that shit. I be honest, I missed that completely. Will Daryl go lone wolf on some revenge mission if Rick is killed? I think it depends on how he's killed. But I think they want to stray away from Daryl being the lone wolf because that is what makes him less interesting, as a character. So they really need to bring him in, draw him close, and make it more of a unified front, so to speak, with Alexandria. Will we ever see all the Walking Dead shows connected in some way? Well, that's tricky to answer because I don't want us to, I don't think we ever need a connection. If you're showing a Walking Dead universe, there's just no reason to force a connection in there for every show. So I'll have to say no. I don't think in the future we're going to get every spin-off connected. I think that would be a terrible idea. Yeah, there's just no reason to connect them. All right, Mega Dr. Dre, let's wrap this up. I'm trying to look for questions that are, strictly The Walking Dead or what we've been talking about, but can't find too many. Because I see a bunch, but we've already covered a lot of the questions I'm seeing. Mega Dr. Dre with a $5 support donation. Do you think Magna will be saved by Jesus from walkers? Also, Jesus need to step it up in Season 9. his characterization has been pretty weak. I agree. Definitely been pretty weak. Got to step it up. As far as will Magna be saved by Jesus, I think not. I think Jesus will be there, but it's looking like there will be a little group involved, not just Jesus. Then again, in the comic, Jesus was one of the first we saw, but there was also Eugene and everyone else, so it's possible. Johnny the Future said, Ronnie, do you think we will see Rick get captured by the Whispers and we won't see him until the season finale or the premiere of season 10? It gives Andrew Lincoln time to spend with his family. No, if they say this is the last season, like this is the last season, it doesn't make any logical sense for them to say, all right, this is it, this is my last season, for him to still be alive in season 10. You know what I mean? Like, this is it. This is the last season. If they were going to do something like that, I would feel like, yeah, they're trimming Andrew Lincoln, Rick Grimes down away from the story. He's not all the way gone, but they're cutting his involvement down heavily. They would say something like that. But since they're coming right out and saying this is it, yeah, I think this is just it. And got some troll questions. All right, we're going to shut it down. I'm trying to look, but I see a couple of troll questions. Excuse me. Had a burp come up. Do you prefer the way the whispers sound like in the season 9 trailer, or would you rather have them actually whisper like in the comics? Well, here's the tricky thing. I think with the comics, we just assumed they were whispering. But if you notice, it's in like squiggly lines, the dialogue balloon, you know? And that could mean, like, for example, in issue 2, there was a young child that I did squiggly lines for when I did the lettering because she's very weak. It just resembled that, you know. And I did smaller lettering when they were whispering. That's another thing they do in comics. If you're whispering, you do use smaller font. But with the dialogue bubbles, I think they had these kind of like wavy ones, meaning when they're speaking, even though they're whispering, they could be talking a certain way. I don't think, actually, now that I think about it, I don't think they used wavy ones the whole time. So I like what they do on the TV show. I like how it is a whisper that's disguised in the zombie growls. Yeah, I do that. And I think that's the right thing for them to pick creatively. Because in a comic, that's almost impossible to show. You know what I'm saying? You would need a character to say, oh my God, I thought it was a this and that, but I heard this and that, you know? And that touches back to what I was saying before. There's a different way to showcase the different mediums from a comic to a show. Amy, all right, let's finish this off. You said it sucks so much that Andrew Lincoln is leaving, but I got to respect his decision to be with his family. Think he will take on more roles in movies too, or will those be too much time from his family too? No, I don't think the movies and stuff like that. I think it's just this being over here. He'll probably take roles in the UK. And like I said, I don't know. I mean, there's no way I'll ever understand what that's like. You know what I'm saying? There's people that, like, they could only dream to be in his shoes. They probably wouldn't give it up for the world, you know? So it's like, I don't know. It's just shocking. You would be like, I'm going to spend more time with my family. Nah, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not like you're not around them ever, you know? But, I don't know. So, do you think the creators of a show like The Walking Dead film certain scenes simply because it would look good for... Yeah, they film some stuff for the trailers. That's absolutely possible. When you have something laid out, oh my God, this would look great in a trailer. But I don't think they go overboard with it. They do film dialogue for the trailer. We know that. They have done shit like that to mislead audiences. Movies have done that as well, so. All right, last question. Ronnie, do you think we will see mourning from the group because of Rick's death? We never really saw that for Carl. No. Not mourning. With Carl, it's because they're in the middle of a war. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we're not going to see that. We did get a little bit, though. With Rick, if you guys are saying they confirmed a second time jump, immediately I got to think that has to happen after Rick's death. It just doesn't make any sense, to do it any other way. So I'm going to say no. I think we'll see it affect people, but that's different than mourning. You know what I'm saying? So, like for Sons of Anarchy, we had a whole episode, I think, or a half an episode of Opie's funeral. We're not going to get that. It most likely won't be that, but it will affect our characters, sure. All right. Last one. Sizzle says, with the confirmation of Season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead, does this tell fans The Walking Dead is here for the long run? I think everyone pretty much knew, or most people knew, Fear the Walking Dead is going to go on. So is The Walking Dead. It's people in denial or people who just write it off as... And again, it's hard, but you have to always remember, this isn't just like, a show. Like, people are building careers off of this. People are getting filthy, stinking rich off of this. It's not going to die overnight. It's going to bleed out. It's the only way for this franchise to die. It's just going to bleed out. So, yeah, it's going to have a Season 10. Absolutely. Fear the Walking Dead will have a Season 6. Almost definitely. The Walking Dead will see a Season 11. Again, almost definitely. When we get higher up, I think we'll start looking for a newer spin-off or something to happen. Because obviously they can't keep going on. But I do fear, and it is possibly exciting to think that with the death of Rick Grimes, if they can keep interest in The Walking Dead, we are actually looking at something that AMC might have been setting up for years now, which is The Walking Dead going 20 seasons, 25 seasons. And let's be real, when they first said that like 2 seasons ago, all of us said that would be awesome, but realistically, it's not going to happen. The reason why we were saying that has a lot to do with the actors sticking around for that long, being Rick's story and yada, yada, yada. Think about this. If Rick is going, anyone can go. Anyone can be replaced. If the Walking Dead TV show gets renewed and keeps a few million people around watching it for Season 9 and 10, even after Rick, Season 11, the Walking Dead original show could likely go on to Season 20, 25. It could possibly be like the longest running TV show ever, if they survive the death of Rick Grimes. And I personally believe that's AMC's plan at this point. So, yeah, Spaceman Spliff asked if I would do a video speculating on what really happened, why they killed off Carl and Rick and Yeti. And we've talked about that stuff a little bit, but to be honest, I just don't have enough information to go on. There's just not enough. You know what I mean? Everything I said in the past, it's pretty much still what I believe. But yeah, I'm going to leave you guys on that last tidbit where The Walking Dead could go on. Like, the death of Rick Grimes could mean the life of, 10 more years of The Walking Dead TV show. Because now it's not so centralized around Rick per se. And if it could survive Rick, it can survive Daryl's death, Carol's death. In 5 years, we might have a Walking Dead TV show, an original show, with no season 1, season 2, season 3 characters. That's absolutely possible. Again, if they keep the interest there. And I think that's where AMC's money is. I know a lot of people start talking about movies and Rick is going to get injured and then do a movie. He said this is his last season, but he'll do a movie. I don't buy any of that, to be honest. I think it might be neat, But in reality, the show is where their money is. That's what they got going on. I just don't see it making sense for them to pull Rick off just to do a side movie, But you never know. Weirder shit has happened. All right, we do got to end it, though. We're running on close to 2 hours long. I know we'll get a lot of comments saying that's too long. So let's shut it down. And then this week, maybe we'll discuss more about The Walking Dead lasting for 20 seasons. That is something I did want to talk about a little bit, but maybe we'll discuss that, at least in a little video, a little update. That way people who don't watch the long live streams can just listen to that. So give me your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you think that is the more plausible way to continue for 20 seasons by killing off the main cast and just kind of revitalizing the show to some degree around an ensemble cast that come and go? New ones come on, old ones die off. Put your thoughts and opinions in the comment box. As always, the super chat support is what keeps this channel alive, the Patreon support. And thank you for the mods coming out, holding it down in the chat. And thank you for everyone supporting the channel, whether you're donating, watching, hitting that like button. Every last bit helps. And what do you guys think about a Sons of Anarchy video? Because I have been putting one together for the past 3 or 4 days, or an idea for one possibly, because I love Sons of Anarchy. But you guys let me know. Fan mail's coming back. I already have that set up. We will have a MAPP mail this week, definitely. We have this coming this week. I was going to post this a couple days ago, but I'm holding off. I was under the weather. I filmed the review, and it sucked, so I just erased it, and I'm doing it all over. But I'm reviewing the Rick 4-pack. Oh, my God. It's the anniversary set. Not if you break it. Yeah, not if I break it. But it's the 4 Rick figures that are up. Actually, you can see them up here somewhere. Where are they? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I lied to you. They're right here. The 4 Rick figures. It's the 15-year anniversary, and they're absolutely awesome. If they gave us this Rick, sorry, I did it again. If they gave us this Rick right here with the murder coat, that would have been perfection. This box would have been perfect because you'd have all these. He's in a green shirt, but the weird thing with this is it's so weird because it's almost perfect. And it's like little miniature NECA figures. It's so strange because McFarlane does this real brittle type of plastic, like a real fragile. I don't know. It feels tough, NECA has like this soft rubber feel to it. So, but some of them have that like NECA feel, highly articulated. It's a smaller. I don't know. It's just so strange. But yeah, I think that's absolutely an awesome set. And that is out. That's definitely out. So if you want to pick that up, go to Skybound. You guys know the drill. And what else was I talking about? The fan mail's coming this week. And a couple other things. I don't want to say it in case we don't get to it. But I've seen a lot of people saying, yeah, they would love to discuss some Sons of Anarchy stuff. I'm on season 5 right now. I've watched them all, but I'm rewatching them for the video I want to make, and I have to. It's a video about the whole series, so I do have to finish. So you got to give me a little bit. I have to watch 2 more seasons again. I'm in the middle of season 5. So far, I think season 4 was maybe my favorite-ish. I think season 3 is probably my worst. I feel like season 3 just dragged and had a lot of weak story. And that was surprising. I remembered the whole Irish thing as being more interesting. But when I rewatched it, season 4 definitely kills it compared to season 3. But anyway, if you haven't seen Sons of Anarchy, go watch it. Absolutely. People are talking about confusing movies. I gotta go, though. Thank you very much for coming out. I'll see you guys next Sunday at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, sometimes 10:45. All right, see you guys next Sunday.